All right, we've got a huge raid of Michael Cohen's office, as you all know, and his home. This is done by New York prosecutors, but it is signed off by federal prosecutors inside the Attorney General's office. Now, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, has recused himself from this case. So Rosenstein, among others, are the ones that authorize it. I'm going to tell you all about that, and then we're going to talk about whether Donald Trump is going to fire Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, and Jeff Sessions. So first, let's start with the New York Times. They explain Rod J. Rosenstein, the veteran Republican prosecutor handpicked by Mr. Trump to serve as Deputy Attorney General, personally signed off on Monday's FBI decision to raid the office of Mr. Cohen, a longtime confidant of Mr. Trump, several government officials said. So yes, the Deputy Attorney General signed off on it. That means they must have some incredible evidence that certainly merits probable cause to get that warrant and to get a person who's a Republican handpicked by Trump to sign off on it. Okay, now as the Times continues to explain, searching a lawyer's files is among the most sensitive moves federal prosecutors can make as they pursue a criminal investigation. Mr. Rosenstein's personal involvement in the decision signals that the evidence seen by law enforcement officials was significant enough to convince the Justice Department's second in command that such an aggressive move was necessary. Now, by the way, don't forget, Rosenstein's not the only Republican. The head of the FBI is a Republican. Robert Mueller is a Republican. The person in New York who authorized it, United States Attorney Jeffrey Berman, also a Republican. Former law partner of Rudy Giuliani, a top ally of Donald Trump, and handpicked by Donald Trump. And they all authorized it, and that was to get further evidence based on the evidence they already had. Okay, one more from the Times. Mr. Trump's advisors have spent the last 24 hours trying to persuade the president not to make an impulsive decision that could put the president in more legal jeopardy and ignite a controversy that could consume his presidency. Several people close to Mr. Trump said. You know, I think they're well-meaning. I think they're, of course, correct in saying that it would be a disastrous move politically and legally. On the other hand, I think they're continuing to be under the mistaken impression that his presidency is not going to be consumed. It's going to be consumed either way, partly because Donald Trump did it. Whether it was Stormy Daniels or some business dealings with the Russians, Trump knows something his lawyers don't know and his advisors don't know, which is that he's guilty. Why do you think he's flipping out like this? They keep telling him, oh no, Mr. President, no, if you just, a lot of them tell him to cooperate with Mueller. Look, I hope to God he does cooperate with Mueller. He thinks he can outsmart Mueller. Please, please go talk to him. Let's see, maybe you're a very stable genius and can outsmart him. But again, they keep thinking like, no, it'll be okay, it'll blow over. It's not gonna blow over. They have already a ton of evidence and they're gonna have more because he did it. Anyway, we're gonna find out in due time, but right now, Trump is not like his advisors. He is not calm, he is irate. He had been grousing privately about a Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, a Trump appointee who oversees the Mueller investigation because of Sessions' recusal. That's what the Washington Post reports. So grousing, that's a nice subtle way to start. It gets worse. The Post continues. He complained about Rosenstein again Monday in private. A White House advisor said, that's again someone inside the White House, and stewed all afternoon about the warrant to seize Cohen's records, at times raising his voice. Trump said that Rosenstein approved the warrant, that he wished Rosenstein was not in the job. So when Trump wishes someone is not in a job, he usually is not in that job relatively soon thereafter. So let's see how that goes. Trump complained sharply about Sessions and Mueller and asked detailed questions about who was behind the move. Well, the people behind the move are absolutely clear. It's Rosenstein authorizes, so did Berman, so did Wray, so did a judge, all these people. You know why they authorized a warrant, which you need probable cause for, and even a higher standard when you're talking about attorney-client privilege, and an even a higher standard realistically when you're talking about the president and his attorney? You know why they authorized it? Because they have overwhelming evidence. That's why they authorized it. Keep it simple. A White House source says he takes the Russia stuff, Trump does, as a political hit job. This was a personal affront. This was the red line of intrusion into personal financial matters. Who gets to have red lines like that? Now, investigators, I will let you investigate things I don't care about. But if you get to things that actually do matter, where I might have committed crimes, I will draw a red line. That's not how the system works. He could have any internal red line he likes, but the prosecutors are not constrained by that at all. And if the evidence led to the money, which it often does, then they will investigate the money. So that's not all. So when Donald Trump was asked about whether he's considering firing Mueller yesterday, he had this to say.
Why don't I just fire Mueller? Well, I think it's a disgrace what's going on. We'll see what happens, but I think it's really a sad situation when you look at what happened. And many people have said you should fire him.
Oh, many people have said you should fire him. Really? Who are those people? Well, let's find out.
Mueller has to be dealt with. He has to be fired.
So top Trump ally Sebastian Gorka said on Fox Business that Mueller should be fired. Shocking. Did anybody else say things along those lines?
This is now a man that has to be brought under control, it would seem to me. Frankly, I can't imagine, because each of us has to come to terms with our own heart and conscience. I would fire the SOB in 3 seconds if
I know
it were
you
me.
would, and he certainly deserves it. I wouldn't hire him to get coffee for me as a law clerk. It's such a cozy little group. Comey and Rosenstein and Mueller and Andrew Weissman, they're thick as thieves.
Yeah, what's with the Weissman? Okay, cozy little group. Anyway, shocking. It turns out that Lou Dobbs' program on Fox Business is one of Donald Trump's favorite shows. No, you don't say. He sometimes makes other White House staffers watch the show. You know, and I didn't know this until recently. He trusts Lou Dobbs so much because of his proximity to his ass that he sometimes has him call in to White House meetings, and he'll put him on speakerphone. Lou's on the phone, everybody. Listen, there's a Fox Business host on the phone, so everybody listen up. This guy's a real expert. Now, why does he trust him so much? Because he has one ass kisser after another on the program going, oh yeah, I'd file Mueller's an SOB, I'd fire him, oh yeah. I wouldn't even have him get coffee. Mueller's been in how many administrations? Almost every Republican in the Senate says he has impeccable credentials and reputation, let alone the Democrats. But there's a program on Fox Business that disagrees. Well, some people say it. We're not even done yet. Here's another one.
Let me ask you, what should Congress do? They have now a rogue Justice Department and FBI.
They should hold Rosenstein and Wray in contempt of Congress, and if they don't produce the documents, they should move to impeach both of them. They have the power to hold them in contempt, they should, and then they should impeach them and remove them from office.
Some people are saying it. Some people on my favorite show, Like to Kiss My Ass, are saying it, so it must be a real thing. Now the question is, are Republican legislators saying it? So if the Republican legislators back Donald Trump, there will be no impeachment. But if they think it's a bridge too far, well then Donald Trump's in a lot of trouble. Now, look, the ones I'm going to share with you are not the end all be all, and there are a lot of supporters of Donald Trump within the Republican Party, no question about that. And it is going to be a tough question, and I don't know which way that one will come out. But here are the folks who are willing to go on TV and talk about it. Representative Kinzinger, let me be more clear about that. No, this guy, at least on this issue, is correct. And here he is on television talking about it. He's a Republican.
Do you think that it is helpful or harmful to have the president weigh in on investigations like this as vociferously as he did yesterday?
Well, I don't think it's helpful at all. There's whenever you tweet, there can be trouble, especially when it's a tweet based out of kind of what's going on at the moment. So I wish he didn't.
Do you consider this an attack on our country, what Robert Mueller is doing?
No.
That last part was my favorite. An attack on our country? No. Okay. Now, much more relevant is Mitch McConnell and Chuck Grassley. They're very important senators, and in fact, McConnell, of course, the head of the Republicans in the Senate. So let's listen in.
Well, it's still my view that Mueller should be allowed to finish his job. I think that's the view of most people in Congress. I haven't seen clear indication yet that we needed to pass something to keep him from being removed, because I don't think that's going to happen.
I think it would be suicide for the president to fire him. I think the less the president says about this whole thing, the better off he will be.
He shouldn't be removed from the office. He should be allowed to finish the job.
And I think that Mueller is a person of stature and respected, and I respect him. Just let the thing go forward.
It's still my view that he'll be allowed to keep him to finish the job.
What would you do if you...
I'm not going to answer a hypothetical. I am telling you, I think he'll be allowed to finish the job. He should be allowed to finish the job he was appointed to do.
It's largely good news, but a little mixed. So Chuck Grassley's clear. He says it's political suicide. Don't do it. Don't fire Mueller, and that he deeply respects him. I like the other thing that Grassley added. He says the less the president says, the better. In other words, the president's an idiot. All he does is damage himself. He admits obstruction of justice on a regular basis on national television. And by the way, the other day when he was saying that Cohen is his personal attorney, he might have also done further damage, because if it turns out Cohen was the attorney of the LLC, the company, the Trump organization, they'd be in way better legal shape. But oops, Trump just blurted out, oh, he's my personal attorney. He's my personal attorney. Because Trump thinks, oh, I have to have attorney-client privilege. That's the only thing I ever heard. That's why I would tell my attorney all the terrible things I was doing, right? That's why Chuck Grassley's like, shush, shush, stop talking. Now, Mitch McConnell saying, I trust Mueller, we're gonna let the investigation go on, but he will not go as far as saying that they will pass a law protecting the special counsel. So will the Republicans back Donald Trump or not back him if he in fact does fire all these people? Well, that jury is still out. You just watched the video by the Young Turks, the home of the revolution. If you'd like to get the full show, come join us and become a member. TYTnetwork.com/join.